Hi, Aniruddha here. So, we are working with the simple banking application, and into that project we already have achieved two phases. First phase is this, creating the menu, right? And in the second phase we have added the database. Now I'm over here today just to add ExpressJs. So I want to add web in this project now. So over the web I should be able to perform these transactions. So for giving you a quick revision or quick recap, let me show you what we have achieved so far. So let me run the menu.js. So here we have menu.js. So node menu.js, node menu.js. So connected successfully. You are getting connected to the DB. So we are using the PostgreSQL. If you have seen previous two videos, right, you would be knowing this thing. Well, if you have landed directly on this video, I highly recommend go to the first two videos. So this video is in the succession of the previous two videos. This is the third step in the banking application we are achieving. Okay, so here it is saying enter your choice. First, let us see, are there any accounts? So here we have, let me see, select. Okay, one is there, or let's create a new account. Enter your choice 1. So create new account, say 3, name FGT. Okay, so we entered the ID and the name of the account. New customer created successfully. And now what I want to do, I want to check the balance. Enter your choice, check the balance, and enter the ID 4. If you see, undefined balance, BALANCE, BALANCE. Okay, some problem is there. Last time we have achieved this thing. Just a minute, let me see what's happening exactly. Node menu.js and check balance 4, account ID 4. Let me show you here. Select star from account, and if you see this 3FGT, let's describe the table /d account BALANCE. It's a numeric, okay, account underscore ID. So it is saying that it is getting this as undefined. So here cannot read the property of undefined, that is a balance. I didn't check this application once after the last week or the last episode. So here withdraw, okay, deposit, and the balance. Select balance from account where account ID is equals to 1. And here you can say response dot res dot this result dot rows of 0 dot balance. Okay, just console.log over here, and we can say res dot rows of 0, and let us see what it returns. Say 4, account ID is also 4, and here can you see it is undefined. So this line is coming as undefined. So select balance from account where AC underscore ID $1. This is nothing but what the account ID is. This is nothing but what account ID is. And what's happening? See, such things happens when you go on developing the project. Remember that these things happens. You need to, because you might have seen that developers are saying, well, code was working on the Friday and not working on the Monday. So how do you resolve these things? Unit testing. Well, I'm not covering unit testing for this project, but I would be surely covering unit testing in next project. So as I told you, the intention of this project is just to give you a intro level project we are developing. Okay, and focus is on the code. After that we will work with the tools and other things in the further projects. So stay connected with me, with my channel. Now let me resolve this error. So select balance, BALANCE, spelling is correct, BALANCE, that is also correct, BALANCE, account ID. So here if you can see, 12 is account ID and 3 is account ID. Well, data is getting inserted over here. Balance, select balance, $1, and this $1 is nothing but this. Let me console.log. Well, this can be debugged in different way also. If error, console.log.error. So here you are getting, and this line is giving you actually error. So 4, check balance, account ID 4. Okay, let us see account ID for any other account. So we have 12 as account ID. Say 12. Okay, for 12, if you see, you are getting the balance. But what is the concern? For the 12 it is working. But what is the concern with then 3? Menu, check balance, account ID 4 or 3. What account do we have? Oh, we have a 3. I'm checking with 4. Now see, these conditions have not been written yet. We need to write the conditions. Account ID is, remember that 3. I was trying with 4. Now click the account ID 3, hit the enter. Can you see here, your account balance is this, which is working unnecessarily. Okay, so concern was that account ID 4 was not there, only 3 was there and 12 was there. I was trying with 4. So in this case, you need to give a proper message that particular account ID is not available. Instead of throwing the error directly, you should write that thing over here. Fine. So this was what we have achieved. So all the operations are possible. All the operations are possible by means of this basic app. But the operations are command line. Operations are what? Command line. And what we need to do over the web means I am going to make a get call, HTTP get call. You can do all the things. So whatever you have done over here by means of the CLI, all that things can be done over the web. So NodeJs says that we have one framework called as ExpressJs. Right? So our earlier code is working. Now we are trying to achieve a web into this project. So I'm saying it again, a lot of things are possible. Validations are not done over here like this. If account ID is not there, you should get a proper message. Instead of default error, you should get a proper message that your expected account is not there. Okay. Then you can say other types of validations. If you are willing to enter the number, that should be number only and not the text. But that things I am not covering over here. What I request you, just add that particular code over here, right? Add that particular code over here, and then you can go ahead, right? But I'm not covering that part. That is easy, not a big deal. I would be focusing on integration of the Express. See here, from end to end, first we created a normal JavaScript tab, then we added a menu to it, then we added a database to it. Now we are trying to achieve web, that is a REST API. So we would be working with the Express for developing the REST API, and then that REST API would be getting consumed by means of the React application. That REST APIs would be getting consumed by means of React app. So that is we are going to see. Now here Express, if you see, a fast, unopinionated, minimalist web framework for the NodeJs, right? Web framework for NodeJs. Now this is a web framework which facilitates the web in your application. If you want to work with the HTTP, right, HTTP request and response model, you would be needing what you can say Express. You would be needing what? Express. So what is going to happen over here? You would be having a layer. Now if you go to our project, we have a DB.js, which is independent of your CLI or the web. So if you see here, this is also one of the client or one of the front end, you can say, but this is a command line front end. You need to enter 1, enter 2, enter 3, and see if someone is entering 1, you are calling this, entering 2, you are calling this, entering 3, you are calling this, entering 4, you are calling this, and you are calling this. So this can be converted easily to the web. Why? Because this file is here. This we have created independent, so we call it as loose coupling. So this file is not tightly coupled with the menu.js or any another file, say web.js. So here I will create new file. Now let me create new file, web.js. So this web.js, so menu.js is dedicated for CLI. I will write it. This file, this code works with CLI, right? Or this code creates nice CLI for your app. Web, this code will help you to create web application. This file you can write any name, abc.js, pqr.js, element.js, whatever you want to do, you can write that, no problem. But see, directly Node, well, Node is also having one of the HTTP package internally, but Express is written on the top of Node.js, which is much more sophisticated for developing the web, and that's why we are going with this package. Now see, let us install Express in your project. So we can go here, and just stop the running application, and you can say paste npm install express -- save. Now hit the enter, look at the package.json. Express would be getting added over here. Sorry, not here. Enter should be here. Hit the enter. Express. Okay, so Express is getting added over here. If you don't know the Express, right, you can watch my videos on the ExpressJs, in-depth videos on the ExpressJs, how exactly this is working. Now go to the guide or getting started, say hello world. So we install the Express. Once you install the Express, just go here, const express, we will get this line first. Const express is equals to express. In the node modules, express would be getting added automatically. Then const app is equals to express. Let's initialize the express. Here you imported express, here you initialize the express app, and then let's define on which port your web server will run. Say 3000 port web server will run, and then you can say app dot route here, if you can see, or app dot get request. If you have a get request, this is the call. Then if you have a post request, this is the call. If you have app dot delete request, this is the call, and app dot put request, this is the call. So when you talk about the HTTP, remember that it is a request and response model. Client will request, server will give you a response. That request can be HTTP get request, HTTP post request, HTTP delete request, HTTP put request, and there are a lot of other requests are available. But presently we will go with the basic things. Get, post, delete, put. So when you say Express is a boilerplate framework, or the framework which does your HTTP job easily, so you can write a complete HTTP application without the Express also, but that will create a problem for you. You need to write a lot of boilerplate code. But here just app.get, a get call. Here you can say app.post, post call. Here you can say app.delete, delete call. Here you can say app.put, put call. Right? So internally it will happen. And the last step, you need to start listening on particular port. So here you are saying I am listening on this port. Example app is listening on this port. Now if you run this file, a web.js, or instead of web.js we can move everything in app.js also. Technically this is important. Web.js can be, we can remove this code from here and put it in the app, but I have something different in my mind to the app.js, because presently we have a CLI also, we have a web front also. So we need to initialize both. If you want to initialize both, you can do that as well, no problem. Okay. Now let's work with the web.js right now. Now if I run the project, let's clear it, and you can say node web.js. So there is a problem. And what is the problem? Yeah, these guys are creating problem. Just remove this because these are the incomplete node. Yeah, can you see? Example app listening on the port 3000. This code is working. So instead of example app, we can say banking app listening on the port, this port. Banking app listening on the port, this port. That's what is happening. Now what I want to do, first I want to get, what you can say, I will show you implementing a simple method. Let's see the balance of particular account. Okay. Now let me tell you what is going to happen. Happen, and here you can say sketchpad, and here you can say now this is your db.js file. This is your actual DB. This is a Postgres DB. Then here we have written the web.js file, and inside the web.js one HTTP server is running. So I can write it here, Postgres or PGSQL. This is your db.js that already we have written. and this is a web.js, and this is what? Web.js. So db.js and web.js. Okay, now these are the HTTP clients, right? Like mobile Android app, a web React app, or any IoT device, So they are going to make the HTTP request. So in the web.js we have express server. So here web.js we have written this express server, or we can say HTTP server, that we have a return it here. So you can say this is the HTTP server, and this is a zoom view of that HTTP server. So you are going to make get request, you are going to get the response back. So we can say this is a request, and here you can say this is a response. Request and response. So this is a request, this is a response. Okay, so you are going to make a request, you are going to make a response. Remember that this is a HTTP server. So client and server communication can happen over the HTTP protocol. HTTP get, HTTP post, HTTP put, HTTP delete, and whatever. So when you say HTTP server, which means that whole infrastructure would be using the HTTP. Now if you go here and if you can say inspect it and go to the network tab, right? Let's make a request again and see all these are, can you see button.js? It's a HTTP request. Click on anywhere. See here. Can you see here? It is showing. So this is the HTTP request method get, which is giving you status. You can say 200. So whenever you make a request from client to the server, you say that which type of request, which is nothing but this. This is a get type of request. Get means what? Get something from the server, right? There are a lot of HTTP requests are available, lot of types are available. We'll focus on basic 4. Can you see here? There are the response headers, there are the request headers. So you create the HTTP request. So this application is internally creating HTTP request. So HTTP request is knowing what type of headers are there, what is a body there. Body means the data, what data you need to pass from client to the server. So you have a request, then here you can say what is the request type and what is the body you have, and what is the body you have. Body means the data. So client will initiate the request. That request would be having all the header details, and the body details would be getting sent to the HTTP server. Then HTTP server process this request and give you a response back. That response, so here I will write, so every request would be having some headers and the body. You can say headers, and here you can say body, headers and the body. To response also you will have headers and the body. To response also you will have headers and what? Body. To request also you have headers and the body. To response also you have headers and the body, right? HTTP request, HTTP response. Remember that. HTTP request, HTTP response. So this HTTP server we have created in the ExpressJs. So web.js is using ExpressJs. So few basics of the HTTP we have discussed. Now see, HTTP response is having a status code, right? You might have seen that 404 status code, right? You might have seen that 404, which is related to the resource. Now HTTP says that anything on the server would be treated as a resource. Your file, mp3, some method call, whatever you do, right? We call it as the resource. And if the requested resource by the client is not available on the server, we call it as that resource not found. 404, resource not found. I will give you an example. Just go here and I will just change the name, and can you see 404? GitHub says that whatever you are requesting, that is not available. Go to the inspector, go to the network tab and refresh it, and here if you see, can you see 404 status code? Status code is important. So this status code, can you see here 200 is a status code. You might find 300 somewhere. Okay, presently, yeah, 204 another status code. So this is coming from the HTTP. HTTP says that I have different status codes. Like if status code starts from 4xx, you can understand something bad about data is happening. If request code starts from 2xx, you can say that request has sent by the client and reached to the server. Request sent by the client, reached to the server, processed properly, and response is given back to the client. That is a 2xx, 200, 201, 202, like that. If the request code is from 300 or 3xx, you can say anything, 301, 300, that is about the redirection. Actual resource has been redirected. Actual resource has been redirected to some another place, that is 300. Then you might find 500 or 5xx. xx can be 00, 501, 503, right? Something bad is happening on the server code. Something bad is happening on the server code, that is nothing but this 5xx. So these are the status codes. Now see, why to use the ExpressJs? ExpressJs have handled all this terminology internally. ExpressJs says that, boss, okay, no problem. ExpressJs typically follows the HTTP terminology. Like request would be having headers, request would be having body, response would be having headers, response would be having body. So it says that I'm going to follow all these things typically, and that's why we go with the ExpressJs. So this is one thing about Express. Just a minute. This is one thing about the ExpressJs. I hope you got the idea about the ExpressJs, right? You can ask me any queries. Well, one more thing, I have opened the discussions about this project. If you go here in the bank application, I have opened the discussions. If you have logged in, right, you can start the discussion over here. You can ask me the queries. We will resolve. Along with me, whoever people are watching this video, and if they want to resolve the query, they also can resolve the query. No problem. So if you want to get updates about this repository, start it. You would be getting the email notifications if I make any change in the repository. That's one update. Okay, now let's try to perform the operations. Remember that in the menu you have imported, you can say in the menu, just a minute, where is that? Yeah, we need to import. Can you see here? You have imported some things from the DB. In the same fashion, we would be needing all that things over here. Now see, create new account. What do you mean by create new account? Well, before moving ahead to that part, I hope this thing is clear to you. So in the last video, we have seen this. We have seen this thing. What do you mean by module exports? We have seen the NodeJs imports and the exports. We have seen here, right? NodeJs imports and exports. Now this is a NodeJs style import and export. If you remember, we can change that to the ESM modules also. ESM modules. That also can be done, right? Revise the last video. If you are new to this, if you have landed directly on this video, I highly recommend go to the first 2 videos that are very important. Okay, so here is a web.js. I have imported, if you can see in the current directory there is a db.js, and import these functions from that file. And if you go to the db.js, I'll close the menu.js. Can you see module.export, this function, this thing, this thing, this thing, this thing. We have exported all these things. Okay. Now question is that how do you call this method? Now see, if you want to create something, right, you need to follow the HTTP terminology. So one more thing about this HTTP. Now see, this is the client. This is the client. Let me just Control Z everything, clean it. This is the client. Client is going to send the data to the server. Client will send the data to the server. In which form? We have seen we are using HTTP infrastructure. Client is sending data to the HTTP server. But what is the data type? That data type we call it as JSON, JavaScript object notation. That data type we call it as what? The JSON. The data type is JSON. Now if you see, go to this file. If you go to this file and if you see this thing, this is the package.json file. If you see JSON file, this looks like this. JSON file starts with the curly brace, end with the curly brace. Then there is a key in the quotes, values in the quotes. Well, values can be directly numbers also like this. That can be integer values also, no problem. So start curly brace, end curly brace, name and this thing, version and this thing, description. And if you see, values can be another objects also. So this thing looks like a JavaScript object. So this thing from this bracket to this bracket, this thing looks like a JavaScript object. So we call it as JavaScript object notation. We call it as what? JavaScript object notation. Now in this format, data would be getting transported from client to server, server to client, client to server, server to client, right? Client to server, server to client, JSON. Now if you want to work with the JSON, right, if you want to work with the JSON, just a minute. ExpressJs. If you want to work with this guy, then you need to have, I'm just finding official documentation, just a minute. So we would be needing something called as JSON body parser. We would be needing something called as JSON body parser. I will show you that what's happening exactly. So here we can go. Here we can go in the web.js and const. First, let me show you what I'm trying to do. And here you can say app.get. I want to check the balance. See now, / what? A URL. Now see here, abc.com / balance, right? And then we need to pass the lambda, a request and response like this. And here we can say response.json, and here I can say one key I can pass, say ky and val, just ky and val. Run the project again, node web.js. It is saying connected successfully. If you see in the output, it is saying connected successfully. Now go to the browser, localhost 3000 and /balance. Hit the enter. Can you see key and the val over here, ky and the val? So this response is coming from the server. If you see, you created localhost 3000 /balance, and this /balance code has been written over here, which means that if you go to the browser, right, if you go to the browser, so this much, till this much you will reach to the server, right? Till this much you will reach to the server, and then you are saying that inside that server, kindly call the method which is mapped with this path, which is mapped with what? This path. Kindly invoke the function which is mapped with this path. Now what is mapped with this path? So this much function would be getting executed. So whenever you make /balance localhost 3000 and then you say /balance, this function would be getting called. Which function? This function would be, this much function would be getting called. Now if this function getting called, you can simply write what you can say. You can simply call balance method over here. You can see balance, and this balance, now see here you are simply printing, here you are printing on the console. Let us see this thing is working or not. Balance and any account ID, we can say three account ID is there. Just stop the application running, clear the console again, right? Now whenever you say /balance, again I am saying this method would be getting called, this much method would be getting called, and from here you are giving a call to one of the DB method, right? See now, so here start the application, web.js connected successfully, then refresh the application, done. And can you see for 3 your account balance is 0, right? So here you have passed 3. Now next thing what I need to do, which is working, which is clearly working. Now what I need to do, I want to find out the balance. So from the URL I will pass ID over here, find out the balance for the ID, bank account ID 34. Can you see here you passed actual value 34, here you passed actual value 34. So here you are saying that give me the balance for account ID 34, right? So how do you modify this thing? Here you just can say ACID. Now see this is a variable, ACID is equals to 34, right? So this 34 would be getting converted to this ACID. So this ACID will represent this thing. So here instead of doing that thing, we simply say ACID. Now so this guy is available in the URL, right? Now just a minute. So these things are called as path variables. How do you read the path variables? Okay, now this is the account ID. So what I will do, const, we can say ACID is equals to this request object. We need to get a request dot params dot ACID, request dot params dot ACID. Now I will show you what is a request dot params. Console dot log, just paste it, and here we can pass ACID. Here we can pass what? ACID. Now let's stop the running application, rerun it again. Banking application is listening on the port this, connected successfully, and hit the enter. Page cannot be reached, but see here ACID 34. So here you can say you get these variables, inside one by default JavaScript object that is nothing but what? Request.params. You get a JavaScript object request.params over here. Okay. Now here you are getting the balance and 34 is not available. That's why you are getting this error, right? So if you pass 3 over here, it will work. See 3, and see because of that error your application has stopped working. And see, that's why handling this type of error is important. Handling these types of error is important. Why? It happens in this way, right? It stops complete application working or functioning. You need to stop this. Getting that? By checking the proper things, right? Here if ID is not available, right, you need to throw the error from this call. Presently I am not doing that thing. I would be focusing more on the express part. In the last video we have worked with the DB. At that time also I said that there is a huge scope for the improvisation. In the same fashion, while implementing express also there is a scope. Well, I am not going to touch that things now. We will do it later on. But end-to-end integration, communication with all the aspects of one program is important, right? We will do it in the next project. Fine. Now this thing is working. Now again I will show you. Just clear web.js, and I am saying it for 3. Hit the enter. See, request is not getting completed. Reason for this is your server is not giving you any response. But if you see in the params you got the 3, here you got the 3, your account balance is 0. This is on the console. But here what I need to do, can you see this is still loading, which means that server has not written anything. So from here what I need to do, I need to give a response back to the client. So in this case browser is the client. Browser is calling that particular method. So my express server should give a response back to the browser, but here nothing is happening. Why nothing is happening? Because you have not written the code for returning any response for the client. That's why it's loading. But operation has been performed, and here you got the detail that your account balance is 0 and nothing is working. Correct? Now how to resolve this thing? From here you need to return the response. So this guy balance, so here you are getting the balance, right? Here you are getting the balance, and that should be returned. So this can be achieved in the multiple way. If you see, balance is equals to a function, and here also you have passed first parameter as, so this $1 is nothing but the account ID, and after that you have passed the function, right? Means the query is going to get fired, and after some time this callback is going to get executed. So query is going to be fired on the database, and after some time this thing would be getting executed after a few seconds. So here also we can pass, we can say on balance, one function we can pass, and then here we can say just call the function on balance, this balance. So to this balance you need to call on balance. Now see, this balance function you have used in the menu.js also. Right now if you try to call the balance, there would be trouble. So here you can just write if condition, if balance is having valid value, then and only then. Otherwise don't do anything. If balance is defined, then and only then do this thing. Otherwise just don't do anything. Just print the console and that's it, right? Just print it on the console and that's it. So you'll not get undefined in the menu.js in the earlier file. Okay, now how it will happen in the web.js? See here, from here we need to pass a function. Here I can say balance, and here I can say this function. Now see, this function just split the screen. Yeah, see now. So here you have written the function. See, this on balance is equals to this function. Means whenever you give a call over here on balance, this body is going to get executed. So here you pass to the balance, you passed on balance function. And can you see, earlier you have just only called only this much, balance and the account ID, which is nothing but this account ID is nothing but this account ID. Right now there is a one more parameter on balance. There is a one more parameter on balance, and here I can say by default it is undefined. By default, a default value to this is undefined. Function is not defined over there, right? Function is not defined over there, and that's why I say undefined. So here now see, if you just call this thing, right? If you just call this thing, this if loop would not be getting executed because on balance is undefined. But I can call the balance function in this way also, like this. So here you can say balance. See now. So here on balance you are going to pass value of this balance over here. So that val would be coming over here, and you can see this thing. Now see, this balance will skip this if condition because this on balance, sorry, here you can say if on balance is undefined, if there is no value to the on balance, sorry, if there is some value to the on balance, then and only then you can call the on balance function. It would be a function. If this is a undefined, so value of this is undefined, this if loop won't be getting executed, which means that in the case of this, you didn't pass any value to the on balance. By default it would be considered as a undefined. You just pass ACID, so this becomes this ACID. So here you pass ACID, also you have passed value to the second parameter, that is nothing but the on balance. And that's why, so whenever on balance is getting passed, so this much is getting passed. So on balance is equals to this much function. So whenever you call on balance function over here, this much block gets executed. Remember that this thing is called as functional programming. This thing is called as functional programming. In the functional programming, functions can be passed as parameters. Functions can be written from one another function, and functions can be assigned to the variable. See, functional programming, functionals can be passed as a parameter. Functions can be written from another function. One function can return another function, and function can be assigned to the variable. One function can be assigned to what? Variable. That is nothing but what the functional programming is. And here we have implemented that concept, callback design pattern. This thing is called as what? Callback design pattern. So whenever query would be getting fired, see here, this query would be getting fired, then after some time, because in the database engine immediately query doesn't get executed, query gets executed after some time, after delay of few seconds, right? And at that time this much function would be getting called. So here we have checked if there is an error. If there is an error, do this thing. If there is no error, do this thing, right? And here you said that if second parameter is having some value, then call it as a function, right? Now see, here you get a balance. Now from here you can say response dot, sorry, res dot, so this response dot, I'm closing this file now. So here you can say this res dot json, and here we can say balance or bal is, or just say this bal, a property shorthand operator. If the variable name and the key name is the same, you don't need to write something like this, bal and bal. ES6 says that you don't need to write like this 2 times bal, because the key and the variable key and the variable value name is same. You don't need to write something like this. Just remove it. ES6 says that, boss, I will handle it internally. That is nothing but what the property shorthand notation. Let us see now what is happening. So we have done the code. I'm stopping it. Node web.js. Now go to the browser. Can you see balance is 0 automatically? To the 3 balance is 0. If you can see 3 balance is 0. Now I need to deposit some data. Now see, deposit is a update operation, and that's why I will use app.put. Now see, if you want to get something from the resource, if you want to get something from the HTTP server, you'll use the HTTP get method. This is nothing but what? The HTTP get method. Now the resource is available on the server, or data is available on the server. Data is available on the server, and then I want to update that particular data. Data is available and I want to update that particular data, and that can be done by means of the put call. See, now we can say / deposit, right, deposit, and then I can say request response like this, and now the data would be available in the body. I would be passing data from the body. So as I told you here, request can have body. So when I create, the client can initiate the request, that can be embedded in the body, right? Before that, I'm going to introduce you to the one more tool, that is nothing but what? Postman. Now what is a postman? A REST API testing utility. A REST API testing utility, or the API testing utility. API means what? Application programming interface. What do you mean by API? Application programming interface. See here, so your existing application is there, which perfectly communicating with the DB, which is perfectly communicating with the DB. Now I want to make this application available over the web. So I have used the ExpressJs, and I have provided the way to communicate it over the web, and that is nothing but what? The API, application programming interface. So this guy is allowing you to communicate with the core business logic of your application over the HTTP. Over what? HTTP. So this guy web and DB. So this guy web is allowing you to communicate with the core business logic of your application, db.js. So db.js is responsible for performing the DB operations and do the things, and that's why this programming interface, application programming interface, you have created one programming interface which allows you to perform the DB operations over the net. So you have another programming interface, a menu.js, right? Menu.js, this is also one of the API, menu.js. So this menu.js allows you to communicate with the core business logic. So this menu.js allows you to communicate with the core business logic by means of the command line. By means of what? Command line. Now Postman is a testing utility. So you are writing API over here. So how do we test the API? Now see, for example, you cannot post the data from here. You cannot post the data from here. You cannot post the data from the browser. So what do you need? You need something called as Postman. Right? There is a utility. Go to the Postman. Download. You can go to the and download it from here. I'm using Mac, that's why it is showing me this thing. But you can see if you are using Windows or the Linux, you can see different things over here. Remember that this is a testing utility. The API you have written, how do you test them? If you want to test them, you need to have one software. Let me give you one example. So here, let's close this. Don't save it. And can you see this is you will see something like this. You'll see something like this is click plus and get. Can you see HTTP method get? So if you want to call this guy, this is working on the get. So select the get and the URL HTTP colon localhost. Localhost means your local laptop, port number 3000. So if you want me to explain these things, what is a port, what is a protocol, right? Please write it in the comment box that you need a more explanation on what is a port, what is the IP address, right? How application gets mapped to the port, and all that things I will explain separately. Intention of this video is to work with ExpressJs, banking application connectivity. So that is nothing but the theoretical aspects we will discuss in separate video as well. No problem. Now here you can say balance, BALANCE, and you can say 3, hit the enter. Can you see same thing, whatever you are getting? So it's a bad practice to write the calls from the browser, and that's why a dedicated software developers have created dedicated tool which is just used for testing utility. Well, I already have installed, but you can install it on your own as well. So HTTP localhost 3000 and the balance is 0 over here like this. Now can you see here what type of status you are getting? You are getting 200 as a status. That is also in how much time? 14 milliseconds. What is the data? 242 bytes has been transported from server to the client. That things are available over here, right? Now similarly, if you want to make a put call, here you can select the put call, right? And just write a put call. And now in a body, see here, I'll select go to the select the put, and here instead of balance we are going to create deposit, right? Just remove this raw, inside raw JSON. Now see, I'm going to create something like this. To this account ID, it's a JSON. I'm passing a body, a JSON body, ACI account ID. You can say 3 and AMT amount. I'm going to add 300 rupees or whatever country from you can decide that figure or that currency over here. I'm recording this video from the India, that's why I'm saying 300 over here, 300 rupees INR, right? Now see, you need to design the API in this way. So there would be a put call. To that put call, you need to pass the JSON object. So here you need to pass what the JSON object means. See, inside this request, you will get one body. That body would be having one JSON object. Now how to do that? Before that, you just need to do express.json. Now what is this? I will explain you. First, let me show you the error. Okay. Now just pass the response.json, say status, and we can say success over here. And now here I can say console.log request dot body. Now see, this you can expect as undefined. This you can expect as undefined. So let's start it again. Let's start it again, and let us see deposit deposit in the body. Okay, send it. Okay, server is not running. Run the application, send it again. Status success you are getting, and can you see here you are getting undefined. So this thing is printing as undefined. Now by default Express says that I'm not going to work with the JSON by default. If you want me to work with the JSON, you need to tell me explicitly. You need to tell me what? Explicitly that you are going to work with the JSON, and that is nothing but what? Adding the middleware. Now see, before what we have discussed, from the when client calls /deposit means localhost or mydomain.com/deposit, this function would be getting executed. When client hits this URL, this function gets executed. When client hits this URL, this much function gets executed. Again I'm saying, when clients hits this URL, this much function gets executed, right? Before executing this function, if you want to execute something else, we call it as middleware in the ExpressJs. So what is technically, what is the definition? Whenever client calls this URL, this function gets executed. But before the execution of this, I want to execute something. That is nothing but what the middleware is. So middleware is a normal function, and here we can say express.json, or simply pass, don't even call, simply pass express.json. Now see, here it is giving you undefined. Let us stop it and start it again. Let us stop it and start it again and see what it returns. Now can you see, earlier it was returning undefined, and now it is giving you ACID 3 and amount 3. It is giving you the data. It is giving you the data. So here you said that for this function, if JSON is getting transferred from the body, for this function, if JSON is getting transferred from the body, kindly read that JSON. Kindly convert that request body to the JSON and give it to me over here. Now again, I can say const here ACID, and then we can say AMT is equals to request.body, right? Object shorthand notation. In the request.body you have ACID and amount. So instead of creating the variable separately, you can write in this way. But remember that the variable names, this variable name and this variable name, should be same as the properties of this object or keys of this object. Then only then this will work. So from the JSON you are passing ACID and amount. Now see, ACID and amount. So request.body will also having ACID and amount, and that's what you are assigning over here. Okay, now we need to call the deposit function. Now if you see the deposit function, to the deposit function you need to pass ACID and the amount. Okay, to the deposit function, if you see, you have passed an object, and to that object AMOUNT amount, amount, right? So keys should be same. If you want to work with the object shorthand notation, keys should be same. And then Instead of doing this also, straight away you can pass request.body, no problem. Straight away you can pass request.body, because inside a request.body there is a ACID and amount as a key. There is a ACID and amount as a key. But the way we have done to the deposit, first parameter is an object and second parameter on deposit is undefined by default. And then once you get the data, here we are printing it on the console. So here we can say if on deposit, some valid data is there on deposit, and we can give some message here, amount deposited successfully, amount deposited successfully. So in the web.js, second parameter we can pass msg, and like this, and here you can give a response status success and msg, whatever msg is there we can pass it. Let us see now. Let's stop the application. And from here we can say to the 3, add these things. Can you see amount 300 deposited successfully? Now just try to check the balance. /3. Can you see balance is 300 rupees. So from here you have deposited 300 rupees, deposit amount 300 to the account ID 3, you have deposited 300 rupees, and here you are checking a balance of account ID 3. If you can see, there is a JSON, balance is 300 rupees. Hello, request and response, ExpressJs, request and response, ExpressJs. Okay, then the way we have written the deposit function, we can write post / I want to create new customer, create a request response like this, and this also handling the JSONs, and in the DB we can say deposit, transfer and other thing I will come again. So create new account, I will work with this, or we'll work with this little bit later. So deposit, withdraw, same thing is there, the way we have done it for the deposit. This is the first parameter, this complete object. So second parameter would be on withdraw is equals to undefined, and then here inside this else block we need to write same code that we have written for the deposit, that is nothing but if. Here you can say if on withdraw is there, just call on withdraw function with some message, same thing, amount withdrawal successfully, amount withdraw successfully, withdraw, and to the withdraw same things are there, we can say withdraw. Well, I am not handling any exceptions over here, request.body msg arrow, same thing, response.json, like this. Now how transfer is working, how we have written the code for transfer. Yeah, withdraw and the deposit. If you see here, withdraw and the deposit. Transfer is nothing but what? Withdraw from one account and deposit to another amount. That is nothing but what the transfer is. Withdraw from one account, withdraw from one account and transfer from another, transfer to the another account. Source ID, destination ID and amount. Okay. Let us see withdraw works or not. Stop the application running. Node web.js, and there is a postman over here. Withdraw. Now see 300 rupees is the balance. Withdraw. Say 3 rupees. It's a put request, remember that. Error. Okay, body need to be passed. Body raw, the way we have done it for the deposit, same thing we need to do it for so 3 rupees I want to withdraw. So instead of raw here, JSON, and send it. What's the concern? Connected successfully. Withdraw. Spelling is correct. Deposit spelling is correct. Localhost 3000. Here it's a put call. Why there is error? Body raw JSON we are passing. Put. Withdraw. Spelling localhost 3000. Deposit. Withdraw. Request.body deposit. Post call is there. Just make it put call. That's the concern. If you want to update existing data on the server, you will use put call. If you want to update existing data on the server, you will use put call. Send it. Can you see 3 rupees withdraw? Now let us see the balance. For account 3, send it. Can you see 597? 2 times we have done, 600 rupees were there and 3 rupees you have withdrawn. 597 is the current balance. That is working. Now next thing is about transfer. That is also put call. App.put / transfer request response, and like this. So here also express.json, it works with the JSON. Well, there is another way also. At the app level you can do this middleware setting. At the app level you can do this middleware setting here itself, but presently I want this and this to be used with this middleware. That's why we are doing like this. Now if you see here, there is a transfer method we already have written, right? Transfer method we already have written. Now little bit we need to So withdraw, so we need to pass source ID, destination ID, amount. Source ID, destination ID and amount. If you pass this data, it will work properly. It will work what? Properly. Now what we need to do, now if you see the withdraw, there is a callback we have written. To the deposit also there is a callback we have written. To the withdraw we have written the callback. To the deposit we have written the callback. Now see what we need to do, we need to cascade these things. Little bit modification over here. Here we can say withdraw, there is a MSG. On successful withdrawal we need to deposit, see here, and on the successful deposit, see, on the successful deposit, MSG WD withdraw, MSG DP. So withdraw, on the successful withdrawal this function would be getting called, that we have already written, and the successful deposit this function would be getting called, and to the transfer also, on transfer is equals to undefined. On transfer is equals to undefined. So here we can say if on transfer, then you can call on transfer a message. We can say amount transferred successfully, amount transferred successfully, amount transferred successfully. Let's stop. Okay, we didn't call it, I think, yet. Yeah, we didn't call it. So this transfer function, so we can have transfer here also, request dot body, and then on transfer we can say MSG, like this, and same thing. Well, this also can be done in one shot. Presently just don't worry about that part. Look at the code we are writing, focus on the code we are writing. Utilities and optimization stuff we can do later on, no problem. Web.js, now here we can add one more, and it is also put request. Instead of withdraw, this is a transfer, a body, JSON, src id. Now if you go to the, see here you need a request body, right? To the transfer you are passing the request body. If you see the transfer, you are passing the object src id, dest id and the amount. So key should be same, src id say 3, dest id you can say 12, which is already there, and amount you can say 97 rupees. Okay, application is running. First check the balance of 3, 597, balance of 12 is a 0. So to the 12 balance is a 0. Now what I need to do, I want to transfer from the source to the destination 97 rupees. So balance for the 3 is the 97. Then balance for the 3 should remain 500 rupees. Okay, let's fire the query. Amount 97 transferred successfully, and balance of 3 would be 500 and balance of 12 would be 97. So your transfer operation is also working. your transfer operation is also working. What we have added over here, we have added transfer functionality, right? Here is the code for the transfer. We just modified the transfer method like this. On the successful withdrawal, you will call deposit. If deposit is successful, then and only then you will call on transfer method. Then and only then you will call what? On transfer method. And this thing you called in a express way over here. See team, you might feel this is little complex, but remember that this is not a complex. The scale of application is getting increased. Scale of application is getting increased. Just few layers, extra layers has been added over here. So earlier only menu.js was there. Now we have added the web layer also. Don't feel it complex. Do not get confused with the complexity and the comfortableness, right? Comfortability, or you can say. To this code you might not be comfortable, which doesn't mean that this is a complex, right? Which doesn't mean that this is a complex. Fine. Now I just wanted to show you in the DB also it works. Sorry, select star from amount. Select star from account. Can you see 500 and the 97? Here it is 500, here it is 97, which is working properly. Fine. Now last operation remaining, that is nothing but what? The create account. app.post / create. And this also works with the JSON, express.json. Well, there are a lot of things in the express like routing and other things. Well, I'm not covering that right now. In the learning sessions, we can cover that part. But these are the project implementations typically, and you need to stick to this part. These are the project implementation things. Okay. Now here, go to the create new account, last operation, right? We have covered the basics of Express, and by means of that we have implemented our project. Now after successful creation, just a callback after the first parameter, second parameter is on create is equals to undefined. So here we can say if on create, and we can pass the message new customer created successfully. New customer created successfully. In the web.js we can go and create new account, a request.body, and the second parameter msg for the success thing, and this guy. So presently this code is getting repeated. But we don't need to worry about that thing right now. Core business logic is important over here. Let us see this thing is getting created or not. See, you need to pass account ID, account name, and the balance. Right? Didn't run the application yet. Here we can say create body JSON ACID, we can say 1, ACNM. What are the keys? Let me check. ACID, ACNM, balance. ACNM ABC. Balance, initial balance, we can say 12 rupees, and it's a post request. Make a request, new customer created successfully, and go here. We can say select star from, can you see, 1 ABC 12. Recently this has been created by this call. So 1 ABC 12, this has been created by this call. That is nothing but your, what you can say, post operation. That is nothing but what, your post operation. Now see what we have achieved in this project. We have created a project. First time we have created a project. In the beginning, we have created a simple architecture, node application we created. Then we have created a database integrity. We have added the database to our application. And at the last here, second last step, we added the web layer over here. So next step would be adding the React app. Now we would be connecting to all these things by means of the React app. And how this is working, we will see in the next episode of this thing. I hope you have understood this thing. Well, I am going to come with lot of other projects also, where you would be getting to know or getting to learn a lot of things. So what I request you, follow video and understand the things and type along with me. If you get any queries, please go to the discussions and put your concerns over there, right under the Q&A section, and I would be there to resolve all your queries. Thank you. Thanks for keeping with me and understanding the things. Thank you.